The question is that this bill be now read a second time. I call the honourable member for Dawson.
Well, thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I rise to speak on this Land Transport Infrastructure Amendment Bill 2014, following on from the previous speaker, the member for Kingsford Smith. And I've got to say, where do I start, Mr Deputy Speaker, because there's plenty of disinformation to rebut. I mean, and my goodness, to stand up here and, of all things, complain about the fact that the words nation building are being taken out of the exercise just goes to show what the last government was all about. It was all about spin, it was all about the names, it was all about the titles, it was all about the razzmatazz, but not about the delivery. I mean, nation building, for goodness sake. It's like we've just walked into communist China and we've got the banners up there, you know, we are building the nation, you know, please be proud of your government, people. This is ridiculous stuff. We're getting rid of the semantics and we're getting on with the job. That's what the new government is all about. I've got to say that the previous member talked about stuff being delivered to the regions, how the regions got their fair share. Well, if you come to a region like mine, which is based up in North Queensland and Central Queensland, they will tell you that very much there was under-delivery from the last government. And there is a reason, though, that they can actually put their hand on their heart and say, we delivered for the regions. You know why? Do you know why, Mr Deputy Speaker? Well, I'll tell you why, Mr Deputy Speaker. Because the last government considered everywhere a region. Sydney was a region. You know, all those cockies walking about in Sydney, you know, with their Akubras, talking about the price of beef and all the rest of it. I mean, this was the ridiculous nature of the last government. Everywhere in Australia was a region. So the member for Kingsford Smith can actually get up here with hand on his heart, along with the member for Grosvenor and all the rest of it, and say, we delivered for the regions. Well, of course you're delivering for the regions when Sydney's a region, Perth's a region, Brisbane's a region, Melbourne's a region. But get real. Rural and regional Australia is not capital city Australia. The member for Kingsford Smith also talked about how all of these projects that are outlined in this bill and that the new government is actually going to deliver were projects of the last government. And he actually mentioned at the start of his speech our $6.7 billion commitment to the Bruce Highway, a highway that has been underfunded and underinvested in for so long. And I've got to tell you that what the previous member said is very much incorrect. Very much incorrect. I cannot bring myself to say the L word because I know the Speaker will pull me up, but it was. Because the last government had committed some funds to the Bruce Highway, but I've got to say it was about $2.6 billion short of what the Liberal National Coalition is actually investing in the Bruce Highway. So the previous member got up and said that all of these commitments were stuff that the last government had. Incorrect. Incorrect. It was not. The last government's approach was very much like the member for Kingsford Smith. This'll wait. This'll wait. You know, well, we're sick of waiting. We're going to deliver. We're going to deliver on these projects. Mr Deputy Speaker, it's necessary to make amendments to the Nation Building Program, Land Transport Act 2009, to facilitate the ambitious agenda that the Abbott Liberal National government actually has set for land transport infrastructure. Now, this government has committed $35.5 billion to road and rail projects, as I said before, including $6.7 billion to upgrade the Bruce Highway, an increase in funding beyond what the previous government had allocated of $2.6 billion. Now, the Bruce Highway, as many members know, and certainly the Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister for Infrastructure, so the Assistant Infrastructure Minister, I apologise, Assistant Infrastructure Minister, does know, in fact, my passion for the Bruce Highway. I have spoken about it on many occasions in this place. It is a critical arterial link for the Queensland economy, especially North Queensland communities. It is the logistical lifeblood of our economy. It has been actually labelled in recent weeks as one of the well, it is the worst highway in Australia, quite frankly, the worst highway, but actually through data obtained from the World Health Organization, it has been listed as one of the top 22, well, not top 22 unfortunately, the worst 22 roads in the world. Would you believe it? In the world. Of all the third world and developing countries, the Bruce Highway makes the list for one of the 22 of the world's worst roads because of the deaths and the accidents that actually has occurred on that road. Now that's not something to be proud of. It's certainly not a record to be proud of, and that's something that should spark a government into action. And I'm proud to say that this Liberal National Coalition government has made a strong commitment to that Bruce Highway. And again, I'll repeat, $6.7 billion, $2.6 billion more than the previous government intended to invest. Now that is going to be matched by about $1.8 billion from the Newman Liberal National government, bringing our total investment from the Liberal National Coalition of $8.5 billion in the Bruce Highway, the largest investment that we will ever see, that we have seen, and hopefully we're going to see more of it. But we're getting on with doing what we said we would do in terms of delivering infrastructure, and this, the amendments that we're talking about today, are a crucial part of that. It's so we can continue to fund vital road infrastructure projects. Now, since the election, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister have reaffirmed their commitments to our infrastructure agenda, including the Bruce Highway and the vital road infrastructure projects that need to happen on it. That means important projects are going to be done, like replacing the dangerous Horton River Bridge in the Burdekin and my electorate. That project is going to go ahead. Project supported not only by me but by the member for Herbert, whose constituents also traverse that bridge fairly regularly. It is a dangerous bridge and we will fix it. That was not on Labor's agenda. It also means important flood-proofing works are going to go ahead at places like Yellow Gin Creek, at Sandy Gully near Bowen, and there's also going to be some preliminary planning work done on the Gaganga Plains, which is a huge issue, and I've got to say it is very sad that not even planning work has actually been done on that yet, because it is an area which cuts off the Whitsunday Coast Airport from the Whitsundays itself. Can you imagine, a world-class tourism destination, you get to the airport, there's a bit of rain, the road's flooded, and actually this has happened. They've had to take people back down to Brisbane. They've had to land the plane there, can't actually get the people to the Whitsundays, so they've flown back to Brisbane. So that's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that the last government actually hadn't addressed that issue when it was put on the agenda by the state government. And we are now getting on with the job of sorting out what is going to happen to fix that problem. It also means, this bill also means the Mackay Ring Road that is desperately needed to get rid of the traffic congestion in my home city, to get the heavy trucks off local roads, to actually get rid of the logjam and the bottlenecks that are impacting upon freight and movements to and from the port to our industrial area. This project will actually deliver all of that, and I'm very proud to say that we made a commitment at the last election. That commitment has been restated by the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, and that will happen under the Abbott Liberal National government. Now, the Gillard-Rudd government actually spent $10 million, I've got to give them that, $10 million for a study, for a feasibility study on the Mackay Ring Road, and then they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing after that. So, they had an opportunity in the last budget to actually continue on funds for that project. In fact, the former Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, came to Mackay and told people it would be in the budget. It would be in the budget. Well, the budget came and the budget went, and we didn't see any further money earmarked in that financial year, the current financial year, for for the Mackay Ring Road. Now, we needed that money in there to ensure that this project happened in a timely fashion, because by 2018, the local engineers tell me that traffic volumes will be exceeded in Mackay. And the fact that we've had a year with no further funding going to that project to do all of the, the resumptions and the compensation that needs to flow from there, the very detailed design work that needs to happen before construction, the relocation of services, none of that money's been forthcoming, even though the former Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, flew into Mackay and told us that it was going to be in the budget. It wasn't in the budget. Well, we're going to put it back in the budget. We're going to deliver not only all of that pre-construction work that needs to happen, we're going to get on with the job, do the construction work as soon as it's done. We've got a clear commitment on the table for the people of Mackay, and it will be the Abbott Liberal National government, the Infrastructure Prime Minister, standing alongside the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, who sees this project through. And if there's one thing that I will definitely be able to point to in my time as a local MP and a strong advocate for infrastructure projects in my area, it will be that I will be able to say this is it, delivered only because we pushed it, Labor did not deliver this. And you cannot say, member for Kingsford Smith, that you had anything to do with pushing that Mackay Ring Road, because the only thing that Labor has had to do with it is delay it. So, Mr Speaker, this bill also makes significant changes to the Roads to Recovery program, which was originally established by the Liberal National Coalition under then Prime Minister John Howard in 2005, and that program has paid huge dividends for local communities. We have had local roads that have been in a shoddy state for a long time because councils' budgets are stretched to the limit already. They cannot find the extra coin to do the necessary local infrastructure projects that's needed, and this money helps those councils go and tackle road problems that otherwise they wouldn't have the coin to cover. And I've got to say, as being a former local government councillor, I share the pain of those local councils with the fact that there's always competing priorities and a lack of money to do the jobs. Well, this program and the continuation of this program is good news for local government, and hopefully into the future, as the finances of the nation improve, we can look to increase the investment that we provide to local councils for roads to recovery. So this bill enables that good work to continue. It removes the specification of a funding period from the Act and includes in it the Roads to Recovery list, which will effectively remove the need to amend the Act every time that funding period changes. So it's an ongoing program, we can say now, truly ongoing program. The continuation of funding will avoid the situation like we're now in, where vital funding for local government to support the maintenance of that local road infrastructure is not guaranteed beyond the 30th of June this year. Well, we're guaranteeing it, and we're guaranteeing it forever and a day. Amending this bill will give local governments the certainty they need to schedule effective programs of local road recovery and maintenance. To ensure them of this certainty, the bill will also insert a power for the Minister to determine a Roads to Recovery list, which will be exempt from disallowance under the Legislative Instruments Act. And, Mr Deputy Speaker, the Liberal National Government is committed to getting this country back on track, and to do that we need to be more efficient with taxpayer dollars. It's been pointed out to me that the Draft Productivity Commission report into infrastructure spend that came out in the last week actually showed that $1 billion had actually been wasted around the country on either bad priorities or bad delivery. And that is a legacy of the last government. They talk about what they spend, but they never talk about how they actually spent it. And the Productivity Commission has actually belled the cat on it and said that $1 billion was wasted. Well, that is the track record of the last government. The track record of this government will be delivering infrastructure, such as the projects that are needed on the Bruce Highway, in a timely way, in an efficient way, in a productive way. We will get on with the job of delivering that infrastructure, something that, while the last Minister for Infrastructure, the member for Grainba, likes to come in and say, that's ours, well, it's not theirs because they didn't deliver it. We will deliver it. We will deliver it efficiently. We will see it through. They can be all about the slogans like nation building. We'll be all about the bitumen on the ground, not the paperwork.
I thank the member.